We're back live. The website is ouramericainitiative.com. ouramericainitiative.com. We're honored to have former governor of New Mexico, somebody who's really stood up for constitutional principles, on with us. Gary, I want to finish up with the phony drug war, but then I want to get into the future of this country, the political realignment that's happening, pro-establishment, Democrats and Republicans losing the primaries. I mean, all political experts have to admit now this is a major sea change. The people have really woken up to the fact that business as usual is killing this country. But finishing up with the story you were telling about the drug war and how we need decriminalization, not just decriminalization, legalization of marijuana.
Well, I think we have this notion in this country now that we've somehow gotten to a point that we're really not arresting individuals for possession, and that we're really we become compassionate, if you will, and more common sense regarding drug laws. Well, that's just not the case. I met with an individual in Des Moines, Iowa, 3 weeks ago, in his mid-30s. This guy was not a criminal, but he had been arrested and charged with possession of 1 gram of marijuana with intent to distribute it to his 17-year-old daughter. He was convicted and sentenced to 25 years in prison, of which he had served about 14 months in prison and had just been released. This is the face of these 1.8 million arrests. This is the face of 30 million Americans that, but for our drug laws, would otherwise be tax-paying citizens. This is 100 million Americans, me being one of them, who have done illegal drugs that, but for our drug laws, would otherwise be tax-paying, law-abiding citizens.
Well, also, when you put a marijuana user in prison, it's a college of crime that then expands this criminal culture. I mean, this is a fact of society, a historical fact that we know.
We have the highest incarceration rate per capita of any country in the world, and that includes third world Cuba, Zimbabwe.
And I've got on screen right now for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers, not just listeners, the drug use per capita worldwide. The U.S. is #1 in cocaine. After New Zealand's #2, Netherlands #3, France #4, Germany, Spain, Israel, Colombia, Belgium, South Africa, Mexico, Italy, Ukraine, Lebanon, Nigeria, Japan, on and on and on. So we have some of the most draconian drug laws, but we're the #1 drug users. There it is.
And if you look at Portugal, which decriminalized all drug use 10 years ago, statistically they are showing a 50% reduction in heroin use. So what are the things we really care about? Well, the things we really care about are being ill-served with current drug policy.
Shifting gears into what I was alluding to earlier, almost every Republican incumbent who's seen as establishment is losing in primaries. Same thing with the Democrats. The Democrats that are for government-run health care are losing in primaries. Those that are against are the few that are, keeping their nomination or winning the primary. Do you agree with me that this is a major political realignment? And if so, what's your view of it?
First of all, I completely agree. I think that the sentiment right now nationwide is if you're in office, you belong out of office. And I think that's a great phenomenon. I think Republicans are going to pick up as a result of this phenomenon simply because they're the minority party. But if the Republicans don't get the religion of the checkbook back, I don't see them hanging around either. Let's not forget Republicans had control of Congress and the presidency, and what did we get? We got prescription drug care benefits. That's why I'm a Republican.
And we got the government ballooning in size. We got the Patriot Act being used on citizens.
It goes on and on and on. People are outraged. I hope that the new crop of elected officials carry out with what they say they're going to do. If they don't, I hope they all get voted out next cycle, and we'll just continue this for however long it takes, and that might not be long enough to stem off what may be really a worldwide financial collapse as a result of where we've put ourselves.
You opened up the interview with that. We've got a long segment coming up, Governor. When we come back, I want you to really spend some time on your view on this impending collapse and the fact that gold's up to 1,300 or right at 1,300 today. And that's really a canary in the coal mine, as they say, that we are going into a collapse. And then I want to get into a host of other issues, issue by issue, see where you stand and where your new organization you've launched this year is going and what you hope to accomplish. It's ouramericainitiative.com. I'm Alex Jones. Hey, we're going back to former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson here in just a moment. Here are some of the news headlines at GCNlive.com. Forget $1,300 gold. Some analysts are saying it's going to go to $11,000 on dollar collapse. Here's another GCNlive.com report. Will Obama force America to absorb a terror attack to save his presidency? He's got all these advisors saying that's what they need so he can get his agenda through. That's even in the Financial Times of London. Also, we have a video clip up there. CNN declares the Constitution racist. They say if you want any state's rights, you're a racist. You don't want government-run health care, you're a racist. Amazing. Absolutely amazing information up at GCNlive.com, also Infowars.com. But going back to Gary Johnson, speaking of collapse, why do you think we're headed towards a collapse? Where do you currently see us economically? And I don't think we have time to have 2 or 3 more election cycles, to vote the Republicans back in and then find out who's bought off and get rid of them. And then, then the establishment will use some crisis or new war as a diversion. So where do you really see us going? And why do you think we're in a serious danger of a collapse, Governor?
Well, the serious danger of collapse is going to be completely unpredictable. But the unpredictable part, I pointed out an example of whereby one government brings its debt to market and it's not purchased, and then it brings into question all government debt. On the optimistic side of all this, the way that it needs to get addressed immediately, there's really no tomorrow. Immediately, though, we need to embark on slash spending. In our case, 43% reduction in federal spending just to bring revenues in line with expenditures. If you look at the fifth biggest expenditure we have behind Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, and defense, we have interest on the debt, which if interest rates rise a couple hundred basis points, we're looking at doubling that expenditure, which I think is also inevitable at some point in the future. We do have the Federal Reserve that's buying up our own debt, and we have the Federal Reserve that's buying up long-term bonds to provide liquidity. This is a Ponzi scheme whereby the perpetrator is printing money. It's the worst of all worlds. Optimistically, we address the problem, we move forward, we right the financial ship, and we get back to what this country has always been about and what's so important, that what we've all died for, and I speak of all those that have died in this country in war, is liberty and freedom and the personal responsibility that goes along with that.
What's the time frame from your research and the advisors that you talk to? I mean, how long do we have till we're in a terminal implosion?
You know, from everything that I understand, this is really going to be unpredictable. It's not predictable. It's something that's out there. If the problems aren't addressed, so back to addressing the problem. You know, a real willingness to slash spending, a real willingness to reduce taxes, growing the economy. Markets are going to react favorably to that. Just understand that what's happening right now is just the opposite. Spending is out of control, and taxes are going up across the board.
Well, Governor, that was my next point. Bush doubled or tripled the size of government, depending on how you look at it. Obama's now spent more than all presidents before him, back to George Washington combined. He's accelerating everything we know will destroy the economy. They know that JFK slashed taxes, revenue expanded. Reagan did it, revenue expanded. Government knows when they raise taxes, it stalls the economy, less revenue comes in. So why are they doing that? I mean, getting rid of Larry Summers, Mr. Derivative, and replacing him with some other Wall Street shark, isn't that just rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic?
I don't think you could have said better, Alex. I wouldn't have anything to add to that.
So they're just accelerating it. So, I mean, I guess we're doomed unless we get these people out of there.
I think, and on the optimistic side, in my lifetime, I don't think there has ever been the awareness that exists among people in this country regarding what needs to take place. It's just amazing to me that we're moving in the opposite direction of what I think is a collective notion of what does need to take place.
Well, you just said it, sir.
Which is this notion of slash spending right to financial ship, lower taxes as a way to grow the economy.
Now, in your state, that is, has a lot of Democrats in it, and can go both ways, Governor. You were very popular, and a lot of the liberals liked you. I mean, that's why I think Politico, to read the quote here, ex-governor emerges as next Ron Paul. Former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson is a teetotaling triathlete who looks the part of the laid-back Mountain West politician. But don't let the jeans and black turtleneck he's sporting on his new website fool you. Johnson is starting to sound like a mad-as-Hades populist with an eye cast of 2012 and the burning fury aimed at Washington. I mean, but you're not casting yourself as that. You've always been talking like this. So I love how Politico tries to spin that.
My experience in New Mexico is 2-to-1 Democrat. One of the things that I got known for nationally was, Alex, I vetoed 750 bills while I was governor of New Mexico. I had thousands of line item vetoes. Only 2 of those vetoes were overridden. So it ended up that I was able to prevent billions of dollars worth of new spending. I was able to prevent government that favored a few well-connected individuals, groups, corporations, as opposed to government that's supposed to work for everybody. I think by having said no that many times in a state that was 2-to-1 Democrat, I think what that speaks to is that citizens, regardless of political party, recognize good stewardship of tax dollars, and I'm believing that that's exactly what I provided.
Now, specifically, your organization, OurAmericanInitiative.com, it's gaining a lot of steam, and you basically just state these constitutional principles, and that's what you're promoting with your organization.
Exactly. I'm, again, 501c4 political advocacy committee. I'm the honorary chairman, which allows me to be talk out on the issues of the day, to be really a political activist without talking about running for office of any kind.
So is the New York Times and Politico and the rest of them, are they wrong when they surmise that this organization is the zenith or the genesis, the launching pad for a presidential run? I hate to go back to that, but, I mean, a lot of people hope you do run for president.
Well, people are drawing conjecture. Again, Alex, I just don't want to get sideways with my legal status, which is that I'm an advocate. I'm the honorary chairman of an advocacy committee. I just can't make any statement regarding running for office.